Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be making a tutorial on how to cut and sew two-piece, a ruched top and shorts. So if this is something that interests you, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. So our fabric is soft, so we are going to be drafting it out on our pattern paper first. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my pattern paper on the table. I'll be drafting the short first. So the first thing I will do is to mark 1 inch from the beginning of the pattern paper, and that's going to serve as a starting point for these shorts. So I'm going to go ahead and mark straight line on that 1 inch that I just marked now. So after marking the straight line, I'm going to label that line my waistline. So then I'll go ahead and insert my hip line of 10 inches, my crotch depth of 12.5 inches, and my short length of 25 inches. Then I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across all these points. Then I'll go to the side that is facing me and mark 1 inch from the beginning of the pattern paper down to the end and mark a straight line across. So after that, I'm going to label my line, my hip line, my crotch depth, and the trouser length. It's supposed to be short length. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to insert my hip measurements divided by 4, my waistline, my waistline, on my hip line, and on my crotch depth. So my hip measurement is 48 divided by 4 is 12 inches. So I'm inserting 12 inches on those 3 lines. So after inserting them there, I'll take my ruler and just draw a straight line to connect those 3 points together. So once I connect the 3 points together, I'm just going to go ahead and extend my crotch depth line. Then I will start my thigh measurements on my crotch depth line. My thigh measurement is 31. I'm dividing it by 2, and that's 15.5. So that's what I just marked there now. So I'm going to just connect my crotch depth to my hip line with a slight curve. Guys, if you want a detailed tutorial on how to cut a female trouser, I have a video on it on the channel. So if we are going to be attaching zipper to our trouser, we are going to measure our waist measurement on that waistline, but I'm using elastic band for this, so I'm not going to be measuring anything on the waistline. I'm going to leave it like that. So on my trouser length, I'm going to insert my knee measurement, but to get a perfect measurement, I'm going to measure what I have on my crotch depth, which is 15.5, and I'm going to divide it into 2. 15.5 divided by 2 is 7.75. So I'm going to place my tape on my starting point at the side. So I'm going to mark 7.75 on my crotch depth line and on my short length line. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark a line and mark a straight line to connect those 2 points together. So after connecting it, my knee circumference measurement is 19.5 inches divided by 2, that's 9.75. So I'm going to divide the 9.75 into 2, the way I'm dividing it now, and whatever I get, I think it is 4.68. So that's what I'm marking out on both sides of that line, that center line that I just drew. So I'm just going to take my curve rule now, and I'm going to use it to connect my short length to my hip line like so. Then I'm going to use it to connect my crotch depth to my short length as well, like so. So after connecting that together, I'm going to go ahead and add half an inch all round my my front panel, because this is actually the front panel of our shorts. Like I said earlier, guys, if you want a detailed tutorial on how to cut and sew a female trouser, check my channel. I have a video on it. So after adding all these allowances, I'm going to go ahead now to cut out. But before I cut out, I'll go to my waistline at the crotch line at the midpoint. I'll come down by half an inch. Then I'm just going to slant it to meet the waistline on the side part of our short. So this is just to give it a form of shape. So I'll go ahead and cut it out now. So guys, this is what I have after cutting it out, and that's my front panel. So I'm going to use it to cut my back panel now, and I've brought in a fresh piece of pattern paper, and I'm trying to just align my front panel on this fresh piece of pattern paper. Once I align it, I'm going to pin it down, pin my front panel to this new pattern paper I just introduced. So guys, this is it. So the first thing we are going to do on this new fresh pattern paper is that on the crotch depth, we are going to be extending our crotch depth by 1 inch. So that's what I just did now. I just extended my crotch depth by 1 inch. Then I'll go to the waistline. At the crotch line, on the waistline, at the waistline, I'm going to go ahead and raise my waist measurement up by 2 inches to allow for butt accommodation. So after raising it by 2 inches, I'm just going to go ahead and measure what I have on the waistline of my front panel and replicate it in a slant form on. So wherever it stops around that 2 inches, that's where I'm going to mark. So after marking it, I'm going to take my ruler and just connect the center back to the side back. Yeah, the center back of the shorts to the side back of the shorts, like so. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect my new crotch extension to my hip line. So I'm just going to use my curve rule to connect it like so. So once I connect it, I'm going to connect my new waistline as well to the crotch area, like so. So after connecting it like that, I'll go ahead to my trouser, to my short length at the center. So I'm going to go out by half an inch at the short length. Then I'm going to connect it together to the 1 inch that we extended our crotch depth with. Then I'll go to the other side and insert half an inch. Then I will use my curve rule to connect it. The half an inch I'm adding now is my seam allowance. So after that, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So this is our back panel after cutting it out. So I'm going to unpin the front panel from the back panel. After unpinning it, I'll go ahead and label my back panel back. So we are done drafting our shorts. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and draft the top. So for the top, I've gone ahead to draft the basic bodice pattern. I drafted the front and back panel together. So that's the back panel neckline, the front panel neckline. That's my shoulder slope, my armhole. Then this is my chest line, my bust point, my waistline, and my top length. My top length is 28 inches. So I'm going to just go ahead and extend all the lines that I've already marked. I'm just going to go ahead and extend them. So after extending all the lines, I'm going to insert my circumference measurement. So my bust circumference is 10.75. So we had 2 inches extra. The 2 inches, 1 inch is going to be for ease and 1 inch is going to be for seam allowance. I will insert my waist measurement and 2 inches extra, my hip measurement and 2 inches extra. Then I'm going to use my curve rule to just connect those points together. Then on my top length at the side, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, and I'm using my curve rule to connect it to the center front. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out now, but while cutting it out, I'm going to be cutting only the back neckline. So this is what I have after cutting out. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and cut out all this on my fabric. So guys, this is the back panel of my shorts. So I added 2 inches at the waistline upward, and that's to fold in my elastic casing, and added 1 inch for hemming at the down part. So my fabric was not enough, so I'm going to go ahead and do cut and join for this back panel. So this right here is the front panel. I added 2 inches at the upper part for elastic casing and 1 inch for hemming. So for my top, I added half an inch at the down part for hemming, half an inch at the shoulder. Remember, I just cut out only the back neckline. So now I'm going to separate the front piece from the back piece. Then I'll fold it back and cut out my front neckline. So guys, after that, this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead now to fold in my neckline for both my front panel and my back panel. Then I'll go ahead to join the crotch of my front panel for my shorts. I'll join the crotch of my front panel, I'll join the crotch of my back panel. Then I'm going to fold my elastic casing. So guys, after folding my neckline for both the front and back panel, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to place both the front and the back panel on each other like so, right sides facing each other. Then I'm going to go ahead and sew down the shoulder with half an inch. Then I will align the sides as well and take in my seam and join it at the sides with 1 inch seam allowance that we left at both sides. Then I'm going to hem the down parts. So for my because it's a ruched top, I've already made 2 ropes for my ruched. This rope is my top length and I added 10 inches to it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it in and sew it as well. So I've gone ahead to join the crotch of my shorts and I folded the elastic casing. So the next thing is to go ahead and cut the elastic. So I'm using this large elastic band. So if this small one is what you have, you can use it. So now I'm going to go ahead and measure my waistline on the elastic. My waistline is 37 inches. Waist circumference is 37 inches. But I'm just going to deduct like 3 or 4 inches from that 37 inches so that it's going to sit properly on my butt because it's elastic. So I don't want something that will expand too much. So that's why I'm cutting 34 inches instead of 37 inches. Then I'm going to fold that 34 inches into 2 and cut it to separate it for both the front and back panel. So I'm going to insert the elastic into my safety pin like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and insert my elastic band into the elastic casing of each of the panels of my short. So once I inserting it, I'll be mindful of the end. The moment I notice that the end has entered properly, I will pin it down so it does not enter completely. So I'm going to pin the other side as well and take it to my machine and sew it down on both sides. So guys, this is what I have after inserting my elastic into the elastic casing of both the front and back panel. So now I'm going to go ahead and align my crotch. Then I'm going to pin my crotch together, my crotch for both front and back panel together. Then I'm going to pin my trouser length together as well. Then I'll take it to my machine and sew it from the down to one leg. I'll do the same for the other leg as well. Then I'm going to go ahead and join the 2 sides with half an inch. Then I'm going to hem it as well with the 1 inch hemming allowance that we left. So we are done with our short. So for the top, I've gone ahead to make my ropes for the ruched and I've gone ahead to join together. So the next thing is to pick the side you are going to use for the ruched. So I'm going to use this side. So I will turn this side inside out like this. So I'm going to open up my seam allowance like so. Then I will insert my rope about half an inch or 1 inch below my armhole. Then I will cover it with one side of my seam allowance. Then I will sew it down. So I'm not going to sew down on the rope that I inserted. The only part I will sew down on is just going to cover it on cover the rope with the seam. So then I will sew it down at the top part. Then I'll be sewing by the side as I go down. Then I'll do the same for the second one. I will insert the second one inside the second seam allowance like so. So guys, This is a final look of our shorts. So as you can see, it's all looking neat. So for our ruched top, this is what I did. As you can see, this is how the inside is. So I didn't sew down. The only part I sewed down on the rope is at the top there. So now I'm going to turn it inside out, and I'm going to pull my rope to form the ruched. So our ruched top has taken shape. See how beautiful it looks. Until I wear it, you might not actually see how beautiful it's looking now. So after I'm just trying to pull it and see how it looks. Then now I'll go ahead and attach my sleeve to it, and I'll wear it so you can see how it looks. So guys, this is the final look of our two-piece with ruched top and a short. Thank you so much guys for watching this tutorial. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to this channel to enjoy more sewing content. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.